Let's have a quick look at this. This is off the United Nations page, un.org, and it is from the Office on Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect. Now, we're just going to look at a little quick definition of it. And it is defined as, in Article 2, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. As such, A, killing members of the group. Now, if in the Irish context, you can look at this and you could ask, is the government engaged in an act of genocide on the people of this country? Now, to get around that on their behalf, I suppose, the word intent would be the legal out. You know, that there is no official paper or whatever, there's no legislation that shows we are intent on killing members of the Irish people or people in Ireland. However, you don't have to intend to do something, or you don't have to declare an intent. You know? So what you can do around that is, if you create an environment that is so toxic and so destructive and manifests in such a manner that it takes people's willingness to live away from them, you are culpable, you are responsible for creating that scenario. So even though you might not declare an intent to harm that person, you have aided in creating an environment which does harm to that person, up to and including killing that person, or creating an environment where that person no longer wants to live. Now, also, due to the legislation that they've implemented in terms of restricting people, keeping hospitals bare of patients that are coming in and out that aren't presenting with symptoms related to the COVID thing, you now have massive waiting lists of people that are going untreated and undiagnosed with other illnesses. So in effect, due to the legislation, while it can be flowered up and termed to be in the benefit of the greater good for people, or the benefit for people, an effect of that is that it's going to end up killing people. Now, point two, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Again, while it might not be declared as their direct intent, the legislation they've put forward and implemented, and the guards are included in this as well for upholding this stuff, is causing mental harm to members of the group, up to and including suicide. All of the rates, all of the, I suppose, the things that you don't want to experience in home life. So domestic abuse, sexual abuse, suicide, drug abuse, alcoholism, all of those stuff, they're all after spiking as a result of this. Point C, we keep this short, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Again, you can kind of couple this up with B and A. So there is, while it's not declared as a direct intent, a side effect of this is that you are going to see huge holes in the population. So older people who have been going without seeing their family members for over a year now. Loneliness is one of the silent killers in this country and in the world as well. We are by nature, we come from people, we are born of the love of two people. So we need people. You know, if we don't, this is the big booster for immune systems, is interacting with people, you know, being social with people, laughing and smiling and feeling people. You know, we need that. And again, due to the legislation that's been put forward and it's been implemented and upheld by different branches of the government, people are lacking that. People are miserable. People want to die. People want to kill themselves, you know. So point D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Again, while not directly spoken of as their direct intent, we've gone a year now where we've been locked down predominantly in a level 5 for long stretches at that time. So that's a year where people don't get to meet new people. So if you're in a relationship as of March last year, great, good for you. I hope you're having plenty of babies. But if you're not, then that's a year taken out of your life where you might not have met someone new. You know, so that's a year where you might have to play catch up in terms of family making. And for women as well, whose biological clock is takes a lot more severe and a lot quicker than men's. Some women might have timed out over that year where they're no longer capable of having babies. And again, that is an effect of the legislation that has been implemented and upheld by people in this country, by the government and from branches of the government. And forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Well, we might not be seeing much of this if you're looking at like people being potentially detained as a result of not going along with what is recommended in terms of vaccines or whatever, because the powers are there that Simon Harris implemented. Those powers are there to detain people indefinitely. As far as I recall, correct me if I'm wrong. But the power is there in principle. So we could see people's children being taken away from them. As of yet, we haven't really, So my point in this is, the one half of it is, yes, government have implemented this legislation and stuff. But the other half is that we've accepted this. We have wholeheartedly nearly accepted this across the board in terms of the general people that you meet out and about. Like, I think that's slightly changing, and I think the people that want to be left alone and left to do their own thing, I think that they're kind of starting to speak up a bit now. So that's good. That's beautiful and excellent. Let's see more of that. So I'll just wrap this up. But my point being is that regardless of the intent, because they can sidestep the intent easily, the effects that these regulations and whatever these restrictions are after having on people, it still adds up to the effect of acts of genocide, boxes being ticked. So probably four of the 5 criteria are being met here, although the intent is not. So while it might not be technically called genocide, the effects are similar, and you'll get people that will nitpick on that, They will defend what is going on because it's not intentional, completely ignoring the fact that the intent is irrelevant when you're dealing with the fallout of these things. So it's just to keep in mind that this is serious. Some people have argued from the start, when it was said it's just going to be 3 or 4 weeks, that once government have given themselves the power to overstep the bounds of a constitution, they won't give that back. I find it hard to say. I don't think there's ever been a case of a government giving back that power or that control. It's up to us to go and take that, because it's ours. We slowly commit suicide by consent if we continue to adhere to these things, So talk to people, and be hopeful, be active, and have a good day.